What's up, everyone? Welcome. If you're new here, hi. Stay tuned. Grab a snack, get some water, sit down. This is going to be a longer video because today we're covering, well, not today specifically, but right now we are covering Dragonite and Dragonair and this line. I'm actually recording this for the second time because I recorded about 30 minutes-ish, and then I was recording, and then about 30 minutes in, something came up, and I was already kind of all over the place. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. Instead of like stopping it and then editing it in and starting a new second half, I'd rather just redo the whole fucking thing because I was honestly very all over the place anyways, more than usual. Debatable, but a little worse than usual, I would say. So this will give me a chance to also be a lot more concise with some of the introductory stuff. So these guys are the first official pseudos, although we do have a lot of new pseudo legendaries and a lot of other 600 base stat total mons that technically aren't pseudos because they aren't 3-stage mons, but they are pseudos in terms of base stat total being non-legendary 600 base stat total mons. And we have semi-pseudos, which are 575. So all of the pseudos, their mid-evolved forms are viable on their own. You can not evolve the mid-evo for pseudos, and they will be viable and will also function very differently from the final form in pretty much every case. The only case I could think of where it'd be similar would be like maybe Ligu or something, but even then, like, you're still bulkier and weaker, so that still functions a good bit differently. So yeah, that's really awesome. That being said, my point is that Dragonair and Dragonite are both viable. And I know a lot of people prefer Dragonair's design over Dragonite, myself included. Therefore, alongside all the other pseudos, it is viable on its own. That's why they evolve with gems, so you don't have to evolve every single level. That would be really annoying. So now that that's out of the way, there's a lot of stuff to cover here, right? A lot of moves, a lot of abilities, a lot of changes. So I'm going to get right to it. Number one, most controversial. Usually I start these off by talking about controversial or things that will jump out at people as like, oh, why is that? Or that's weird. So two things that are probably jumping out to about 5 or 10% of you guys watching or listening. Dragonite's stats and abilities. So, number one, no more multi-scale. Number two, quote-unquote nerfed attack stat, and technically nerfed to bulk, although not actually nerfed to bulk because it has more HP. So, I'm not sure where to start with the abilities or stats, but what I will say is multi-scale's loss, you might look at this and think, oh, well, Dragonite is nerfed. You're right and you're wrong. Typically when there's like other stat drops or like abilities that were technically better, I would still say no, it's not a nerf because the mon is still much better in the way that it functions now as a whole, thanks to all the moves and buffs and all this other crap. But in this case, you could genuinely argue it is a nerf, despite how amazing Dragonite is now and how unique it is now. You could still argue that having multi-scale in its original stats and its original move pool and none of the buffed moves and none of the changed move effect is still better. You could argue that, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. But the difference is that this is, number one, it's a lot more intuitive. Number two, it's a lot more logical. Number three, it's a lot cooler. And number four, and most importantly, the actual reason is because it's overpowered. All right, plain and simple. I know this is coming from the guy who has made a bunch of things that may come off as overpowered, but the difference is that if it does end up being overpowered, which it probably won't be for some of the things that I'm thinking of in my head that people might bring up as like, well, you have this, so how come you can't have this? The difference is those mons were not great before. Dragonite, especially in like a hardcore Nuzlocke and a ROM hack where it gets multi-scale naturally. I mean, every ROM hack that gives Dragonite multi-scale naturally is just it's overpowered, man. It's dry. And yes, I understand there's pseudo legendaries, but I want to put Pokemon on more of an even playing field. And that doesn't mean that base stat totals are all gonna be equal, whatever. No, Dragonite is great. It is 600 base stat total, super strong, mixed attacker, super great move pool, super good abilities. It's just not the way it used to be. So that is why. All right, multi-scale. Flat out, point blank, it's just too strong. It's just too strong. It's too free. It's easy to just click DD, even though DD is only in Vast Pony Canyon. You know, before by Totem Como, it's still too free, and you have all these other setup moves I gave it. I just didn't like it. Another reason is because there's overlap with well, rather, it's not a dragon flying type, but it is a pure dragon type. There is one pure dragon type that has multi-scale. And it is not Dragonite. Obviously, Dragonite wasn't pure dragon, but you understand my point. There's only one dragon with multi-scale that I can think of right now that is going to keep, well, not keep multi-scale, but that's going to have multi-scale. And it fits multi-scale much better as well. And so these two abilities fit Dragonite much better, and they are much cooler functionally for Dragonite. So having lost multi-scale, I've given it tons of great new tools. So 2 new abilities in Drizzle and Irrelate, both of which are super logical. So the logic for those is Dragonair's deck entries all talk about how it can summon the rain and change the rain and change the weather and all this, stuff. And it literally gets rain dance by leveled up. And then Dragonite talks about how it's marine and how it lives in the sea and it lives on near the ocean and it blah 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 makes sea wreck. You know, it's an ocean-faring Pokemon at the end of the day. You know, it's not just a flying dragon, it's also an aquatic flying dragon. Therefore, having essentially what amounts to 3 stabs is great. And I'm sure the more intuitive of you guys will be looking at this and instantly knowing the cool shit you have with Drizzle, which is, you know, Thunder, Hurricane, etc. But I'll cover that more in depth in a little bit. But another reason for that is that's also, sorry, let me rephrase that. They have a better special attack stat now as well. So another thing I need to cover is that HP is much more based on size now. I've said this in most of my change guides, but I'll say it again. HP is based on size. Not 100%, like, you know, it's kind of impossible to do that. It would be kind of stupid to do that, if anything, because HP is size, but it's also, like, bulkiness in general and how well they can take hits in general, that kind of thing. But I've definitely, I mean, HP was fucked. It was a weird stat. So I figured I would make it a little bit more consistent. And Dragonite is a 7+ foot tall, fat dragon, frankly. Not to body shame them, but they are fat. So, 110 HP fits very nicely. The lowest I would have gone is 100. And if I had gone with 100 HP, I would have maybe put a little bit, I would have done like with maybe a 90, I would have probably gone with like 100 speed F, 85 defense, and then like a little bit more on both your offenses or something, or maybe more speed even. Although I think Dragonite, technically, despite the fact that the deck says he can fly super quickly, I still don't like the idea of it actually having a good speed stat. I think that extreme speed is enough to make a nod to the fact that it's actually really fast. And I'm getting ahead of myself. But for those of you who are thinking, oh, well, Dragonite's worse. Now, Dragonite sucks because it doesn't have multi-scale anymore. Drizzle and Aerolite are both excellent abilities for it. And the stat rework may seem like a nerf, but it's not. Ultimately, it isn't. So another quote-unquote nerf is the attack stat. That being because I simply, 2 things. Number 1, I wanted more stat points. This is the most important one, is I wanted more stat points for other stats, plain and simple. I wanted it to have 110 HP, and I wanted it to have 110 special attack, and therefore I have to take stats out of I have to take numbers out of other stats. And also this stat split is a lot more logical, because it's not that strong looking. I mean, I know he's a giant dragon, he's dragon, blah, 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 but like to have more attack than like Garchomp, and like, actually Salamence is 135, I think, but like T-Tar, I'm pretty sure is 130, right? Pretty sure T-Tar is 130. I'm not even going to talk about other Pokemon. I'm talking about just Pseudos right now. Yeah, sorry, T-Tar is the same attack. But T-Tar obviously should have way more attack than Dragonite looking at their designs. I mean, just look at him. Yeah, he can punch her, but he's still fucking pudgy, man. Like, he's still a pudgy-ass dragon. I'm really out here fat-shaming Dragonite, but yeah. Point being, and I know speed equals power, therefore a giant 7-foot-tall dragon flying super quickly would be strong. I'm not saying it's weak. 120 attack is not weak. It's still really strong. I just wanted to put more stats in other things, and I figured, you know what? I actually want him to be more of a mixed attacker. That was the biggest reason I wanted him to be more of a mixed attacker, because that just makes sense. I mean, look at their design, look at the pre-evolutions. It just makes more sense to be a mixed attacker. So that's what I made it. So that being said, I hope that covers Dragonite stats questions and abilities questions in terms of the quote-unquote nerf. And in most cases, I wouldn't agree with you that any mon that just happened to lose something that it had before is a nerf because of all the reworks I did. It still ends up being significantly better than it used to be. But in Dragonite's case, you could genuinely make a case. I don't know if I said this in the first video I recorded that got deleted, or if I said this in the second recording. So if I'm repeating myself here, forgive me. Also, this should be even 25 size font. There we go. Or yeah, 25 is fine. Make this 25 as well. Sorry. As I was saying, this is the one case where you can genuinely argue it might be a nerf, but it's not actually a nerf. It's not. Yeah, it's a rebalance. All right, it's a rework. It's new tools. It's new stuff. Fresh coat of paint. All right, that's the motto here. And Dragonite is awesome with these new abilities, and Dragonair is extremely viable. And like I said at the beginning of the video, it's viable to the point where you would not be remiss to not evolve your Dragonair, and I know a lot of people prefer the design, including myself. So I, for one, so here's the secret pro strategy tip for any Pokemon that evolves with a gem, because the pre-evolution is viable. The only, like, obviously some evolutions with gems are not actually viable pre-evolutions just because there's like a branched evo, for example, Gloom or something is not viable, but it still needs the gem method because it's actually Gloom is day and night rather. Sorry, bad example, but there's other evolutions, all right? My point is, for some branched evolutions that are always viable, but in the cases where the pre-evolution is viable, Now I lost my train of thought. Damn it, whatever. Look, point being, it's strong, right? A Violet Dragonite is very strong. It's not better than a Violet Dragonite. It's different than a Violet Dragonite. There are two different Pokemon. There are only 3 fully evolved pure Dragon types, being Dragonair and Shogun, which are Violet viable pre-evolved pseudos with 480 base out totals, and then Druddigon is extremely powerful, and I am super excited to get to Druddigon, but I'm super excited to get to every fucking Pokemon, to be honest. But yeah, being a pure Dragon type is really unique, and it's actually a great defensive typing, as many of you guys probably know already. It has 4 resistances to the elemental types, or not all the elemental types, but the main, like fire, water, electric, grass trio, and then electric is like in there as well. It resists those, and that's great. It is really great to just resist those, and you only have 3 weaknesses, and one of those doesn't really count because you're only fighting other dragons when you do that, and you can always use your priority moves or outspeed them or whatever. So it has 2 common weaknesses, and then dragon is pretty much only used on like you got your false strikes and your dragon tails that are used by like hustle Pokemon and technician and whatever, but otherwise you're only running dragon moves on dragon Pokemon, even with all of the not always. Again, the AI will only run dragon moves and dragon Pokemon for the most part, but the player, you have the freedom and the advantage of having hindsight, and so you can, or foresight rather, and so you can customize your movesets. So you can run Dragon Pulse on your motherfucking, what's the first one that gets a dragon move that I can find? Just keep scrolling until I find one. Motherfucking on your pre-Mega Gyarados. Bad example because you can just use a nice move. But I don't know. Say you're fighting another, I don't know. The point being, you can run them also for their added effects. That's another thing I did. Breaking Swipe, lowering attack, false strike, boosting your attack and accuracy, etc., etc. So I'm getting a bit off topic, but the point is that a Violet Dragonair is extremely powerful, and I actually made a little note for myself to talk about the stats for a Violet Dragonair, because when you factor in a Violet, it is immensely bulky. Pure Dragon type with reliable recovery and Aqua Ring. Aqua Ring heals flat 50% now, like Recover does, and that's great. And that is it's just really fucking good. I mean, you have a great bulky Pokemon with Regenerator. I need to cover that as well. So logic for Drizzle, I already covered. Logic for Regenerator, I'm repeating myself because I recorded a video before this and had to delete it. So forgive me for forgetting about Regenerator. It's great. I mean, I don't even need to explain how good it is, but the logic for Regenerator mostly comes from Dratini. So basically, the pre-evolutions all have Shed Skin, and you could argue that Shed Skin being replaced by Regenerator is already logical enough. And the fact that they're like this mysterious, mystical, aura, legendary-esque dragon worm thing, snake. But the main actual like lore dex entry justification for having Regenerator is the fact that they continually shed their skin, repeatedly shed their skin. It grows by repeatedly shedding its skin, continues shedding its skin, blah blah blah. I also considered Energy Shield because of this whole thing with like their energy and their gems and whatever and their auras and all that stuff, which is also why they get Aura Sphere, by the way, if that seemed weird to you. That's also why I give it to them. Same with Mystical Fire, because they're like this mystical Pokemon. Anyway, back on topic, Regenerator is great. That's the logic for it. It fits. It's cool. I considered keeping Multiscale on the pre-evolutions at first, but then I realized that Druddigon will be a pure Dragon type with Multiscale, and I was initially okay with that overlapping because, special attacking versus physical attacker, physically bulky versus specially bulky, blah, 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 blah. But it's better to have no overlap at all, just to make them more unique. Regenerator is far more unique. Regenerator is far cooler. You could argue it's even better, honestly, because the Violet's already giving you extra bulk. You don't really need the Multiscale. Regenerator having that longevity, getting that 1/3 HP each time you switch out, it's excellent. You also have access to Regenerator plus Parting Shot, Volt Switch, or U-Turn, which is obviously all great. Parting Shot being arguably the best, although having U-Turn and Volt Switch there for the damage and the super effectiveness and being TMs is always nice to have that as an option. But yeah, Regen, Parting Shot, God tier on Dragonair, super great, super bulky. Let me find that stat sheet I had it in my notes somewhere on the left. Hold on my other monitor. So just give me 2 seconds while I find that. But they are extremely bulky. They have a usable attack stat, but the pre-evolutions have obviously dropped attack because it just makes sense for them to have less attack and more special attack. Just logically looking at them, and their whole dex entries about this aura and controlling the weather and shit. I considered Dazzling Gleam, but I ended up not doing it because it felt kind of weird to have on Dragonite. So I just didn't do it. And they don't need it anyways. They got play rough physically if they want to run fairy moves. But getting ahead of myself. Where is these stats, man? I literally had them saved. Sorry, guys. Come on. It's right here. Ugh, I'm so sorry. Oh my god. I literally had it. I had it typed out and everything. This is so frustrating. All right, let me just type it. Let me just control F it instead of being an idiot. Base 70. There we go. Found it. Sorry, everybody, for that little delay. So 80, 70, 90 bulk. With a Violite, when you max out, so I would just show these live and do the calculations, but it takes longer, so I'll just read to you guys the numbers. So base 70 defense with a beneficial nature and max investment with a Violite is 393 defense. With a neutral nature, it's 358 defense. And with no investment in a neutral nature, it's 264 defense. Base 90 special defense hits 495. Sorry, 459. 459 would be fucking insane. 459 is already insane. So you have 459 SPDF when you max out base 90 with a plus defense. Sorry, plus special defense nature. With a neutral special defense nature, you have 418 SPDF, and then with a no investment neutral nature, you have 324 SPDF. So with zero investment, your Dragonair has the equivalent of base 112 SPDF maxed out, meaning like a base 112 special defense Pokemon with max EVs is going to be the equivalent to Dragonair's SPDF uninvested. So that's insane. I mean, that's really tanky, even with no investment. And on the physical side, with no investment, you are equal to base 83 defense maxed out, meaning a base 83 defense Pokemon with max EVs is equal to a non-invested Violite Dragonair, physically, defensive-wise. And of course, if you, let's say you run max, let's say, here's what I would say is the overall bulkiest set. Obviously, the beauty is you have the foresight of being the trainer with the infinite ability capsules to switch your abilities, and the infinite everything. I mean, infinite everything, infinite TMs, infinite tutors, infinite, what am I thinking of that's important that I was just saying this for? Eevee Training, yes, Eevee Training. So the Eevee Training is instantaneous now, so you can just use the, you have items that do minus 126 to your Eevee, so you use those twice and you have 0 in the stat. And then you have vitamins, which will give you plus 126. Use those twice, you get max in a stat. And then you have wings, which you can use for plus 4, which is like more of a minor, that's mostly for like creeping, like specific EV spreads, specifically speed creeping, although you can also do that for like, you know, any type of stuff like proficiency Pokemon and any unique stat spread, basically. That isn't any stat spread that isn't just max, you'll be using the wings for. So you have all those. And the beauty is you can just switch your EV spreads on and off. So, oh, there's a fight coming up and I need my Dragonair to fight a physical attacker. All right. Max defense, max special attack, or max HP, max defense, whatever it is. Oh, I'm fighting a special defense, a special attacker. Okay, just swap your EVs. You're fighting mixed attackers, or you're fighting multiple Pokemon throughout the fight. Max HP, max special attack. You know, you can really customize your spread, and this goes for Dragon. This goes for every Pokemon. That's just very relevant when it comes to the Violite Pokemon. So, when you max out your, so for example, a Dragonair with neutral defense and neutral special defense nature is equal to, when you invest. So let's say you're running 252 SPDF, 252 defense. You are then equal to base 130 and 160 respectively, meaning 130 defense, 160 SPDF base stat-wise. And that just kind of puts into perspective how fucking bulky it is. Super bulky, pure Dragon type, Regenerator. Drizzle's a great option. Swift Swim is good on Dratini for up until level 25. It's just logically Drizzle felt kind of weird, and so I figured Swift Swim is fine. Pure Dragon with Swift Swim is kind of cool. You get a stab boost on your water type moves, which you have many of, and then you get the double speed, and it's kind of cool just to have like especially second Swift Swim Dratini. You know, it's niche, but it's there. Rain Dance is a TM, one of the first TMs you get, so you'll have Rain Dance by the time you can catch Dratini, and you can just run Swift Swim sets. Otherwise, you're running with Regenerator, which is obviously great. And like I said, you have Regen Parting Shot. Regen in general is just great. You have Regen with all kinds of stuff. You can use Regen plus Haze to what's the word? Phase out Pokemon. Regen plus Breaking Swipe is great with the Violite increased bulk, as well as Dragon Tail, because even though you only have 70 base attack and 100 special attack, those moves are still very viable because Breaking Swipe is 70 base power and just drops attack by 1, and then Dragon Tail is 90 base power minus priority, and it switches the opponent out 100% accurate. So, I mean, it actually can't miss, which is good for hustle and stuff, but that is the benefit of it. You know, you can like tank a hit really nicely and then swap them out. So if they have boosts or something, or if the Pokemon in front of you just, you know, you need to get rid of it for some reason, you need to get it off the field so you can set up, for example, then you can Dragon Tail them out and then use your setup moves on a different Pokemon that is more, you know, favorable matchup wise. So that's that. Regenerator is great. A Violite Dragonair is viable until the end of the hack. You can literally never evolve it, and that is a totally valid option. So here's the super secret pro gamer tip, is to just not evolve until you have to. So if you're doing a team locked Nuzlocke, hardcore Nuzlocke, which is something I encourage people to try, if you're already avid with hardcore Nuzlocke, I mean, I've said this in a couple other chains, guys, if you want a team swap, be my fucking guest. Like, I have nothing against that, and I think it can actually be really fun, especially with all of these Pokemon. Like, dude, you have so many options. Some people really do just like guaranteeing matchups. Some people love going through their box options in a hardcore Nuzlocke and just, you know, in ROM hacks, and just tailoring their matchup and team swapping and team countering, and that is very viable and strong. You'll probably have an easier time, but it takes more time to plan. So, you know, pick, give and choose. If you, for example, if you do team swapping on your first run and you find it to be easy, which I doubt you would unless you're extremely experienced, and even then it wouldn't be easy, rather it would just be fair. Like, oh, I planned out everything and I didn't struggle, I didn't lose too many mons. But if you find that you're not losing too many Pokemon and you want more of a challenge, then you should try Team Locked on your second run. But for those of you who already are going to be doing Team Locked, including probably myself, the good thing is, what was I bringing it up for? God damn it! What was I bringing? I was bringing it up for a reason, and now I completely forgot. Oh yeah. So if you can't team swap, meaning you can't go and if you're not doing a Nuzlocke, then you can just catch another fucking Dragonair, and you can have Dragonair and Dragonite if you want. You know, be my fucking guest on there. That's, you know, at that point, just play however you want. But if you're doing a Nuzlocke, this rule still applies, but especially if you're doing a team lock Nuzlocke and you have a Dragonair stuck on your team. So not stuck like as if it's a bad thing, but stuck meaning like you cannot take it off just like with all your other Pokemon until it dies. And that doesn't mean go stack your Pokemon, but tangents, all right? This is not a fucking Nuzlocke guide. This is a talking about the changes. So if you're doing a Nuzlocke and you have a Dragon on your team, what I would recommend doing is not evolving it until you get to a boss fight where you need Dragonite. Meaning you need that flying typing, you need air late, you need the moves, the exclusive moves, you need the stat buff, you need the stronger power. Then evolve it, because you can always evolve whenever you want. You can't devolve. You cannot bring your Dragonair back to Dragonite. Other way around, sorry. You cannot bring your Dragonite back to Dragonair, okay? So you don't want to be stuck in a situation where it's like, oh, I evolved instantly level 45, and then there's a boss trainer, and oh shit, regen of Violet Dragonair would actually have been better in this case. Fuck, you know, facepalm. I'd say they're still equal. If you love Dragonite, evolve it right away. If you don't care, you just want to use your favorite Pokemon, evolve right away. If you just think Dragonite is more fun, evolve it right away. You know, this isn't like super important, but it's just the quote-unquote optimal strategic play to wait to evolve until you need to. Meaning, if you're doing team locked, especially, let's say you have a total team of 6, and then you beat a couple boss fights, and now you're at fucking Nanu or something, for example, and it's like, oh shit, I'm at Nanu, and my 5 of the Pokemon handle all these Pokemon. It's like a big game of chess. You know, you got to delve up what fights what, and then eventually you'll get to a wall where it's like, oh fuck, this is kind of a strategy tip in general. You're at that wall, and it's like, oh crap, I have nothing for this. I might lose a Pokemon to this Pokemon with the items and moves and things I have access to. If you're doing Team Lock, this is an issue. It happens often. That's why I like doing Team Lock, because it really forces you to think outside of the box, to be like, shit, I only have these 6 Pokemon. I don't want to sack my Pokemon, because that goes against the spirit of the Team Lock. At that point, like, what's the point of doing it if you're just gonna sack things off just to fucking switch your team out? That's lame. At that point, just team swap. I mean, I have nothing against team swapping. Just do it that way. The one thing I will judge is doing a team lock Nuzlocke and sacking mons on purpose. Like, not like oh shit, my team is like half dead and I have to sack something and I love this Pokemon. No, it's like, oh, I'm quote unquote stuck with this mon. I don't need it anymore. Let me just throw it away. That's lame, in my opinion. It's very lame. I would just do a non-team lock Nuzlocke at that point. Nothing wrong with that. That's actually very fun and totally valid and fun to do. So, back on topic again. I'm really sorry, guys. I promise I'll get to the Drizzle nitty-gritty and the air nitty-gritty, all right? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish up this little talk about the Nuzlocke situation where you don't evolve it. Then or you wait to evolve it. Then I will talk about Drizzle. Then I will talk about air late. Then I will talk about every other move that doesn't get covered by Drizzle and air late. All right? That's what I'll do. So, because I already talked about Regenerator, and I already talked about the bulk and the stats and all that stuff. So we only have that much left to cover. Again, sorry for the longer video. You know, get some water, take a seat, chill out, whatever the hell you do in the background while listening to these, if you are listening to them all of the time or all the way through, which I totally appreciate. And if you aren't, then I also don't have anything against that. They're long ass videos, man. I don't expect anyone to listen to them all. So, just there for people who like it. Crap. What was I saying? Man, I'm all over the place. Nuzlocke stuff. Yeah. So, Dragonair. My point is that if you wait to evolve it, then you can evolve it when you get to that point. Like, for example, in the hypothetical I gave where it's like, oh crap, my whole team gets shit on by this one mon, but Dragonite would help. So now I'm going to evolve my Dragonite, but I wouldn't evolve it until you get to that point. If you ever do, you could, I mean, in theory, depending on your other 5 Pokemon, you can never get to that point. You could say maybe Dragonite is better, but as long as you can still do the fight deathless without evolving, then I would recommend that just from a strategical point of view, because the second you have to evolve, you evolve it. Versus if you evolve early and you get to a point later where you might need Dragonair, you're like, oh, well, shit, I can't go back. I can't devolve my Dragonite, you know? So that's a little bit of a behind the scenes tip, but this is only relevant to like 5% of the people listening to this, because only 5% of people are going to be doing a Team Lock Nuzlocke in the first place. And there's nothing against anybody who plays any man, I talk fast. I'm trying to say that there's nothing against anybody who does it differently, is my point. So that tangent is wrapped up now. Thanks for listening. Back on topic, we have Drizzle. Obvious benefit, 50% boost to your water moves. Secondary benefits that are also very valid: overriding other weather, triggering ally abilities and moves, meaning you can run a rain team with Weather Ball on all of your Pokemon and get water coverage. You can run Swift Swim on your Pokemon. You can run Dry Skin on your Pokemon. You can run Hydration on your Pokemon, etc., etc. All right. You could just run water types, you know, or just Pokemon with a lot of water moves, you know, that kind of thing. All right, rain teams are great. This is great for rain teams, is my point. This is obvious, all right? That's the obvious benefit of Drizzle. And then, of course, you get that 50%. You essentially get stab on water moves, which is obviously, you know, that's great. Other benefits, though, especially on Dragonite, although Dragonair has these moves as well. So Dragonair and Dragonite, although Dragonite has 10 more special attack and gets stab on Hurricane, but Dragonair still gets Hurricane. I think the logic there is fine, given that it can control the weather and all this stuff. I think Hurricane is totally fine logically for it. So Hurricane does not miss. So Hurricane and Thunder are 85% accurate, 120 base power. Thunder has a 30% paralysis rate, and Hurricane has a 30% flinch rate. Instead of Confusion, because fuck Confusion. I'd rather just have it be stronger and accurate air slash. I actually considered behind the scenes, like, cool little fun fact. I considered making Hurricane the equivalent to Whirlpool, where it traps, you know, over time, like Fire Vortex and Whirlpool. I thought that would be really cool, but I ended up not doing it. But hey, comment down below if you think that's cooler. I think that's cooler, but it would be 80% accurate, 130 base power, which would also make Rain kind of overpowered, which is the main reason I didn't do it, because yeah, pretty fucking crazy in Rain, not gonna lie. Yeah, Whirlpool plus Hurricane in the Rain is nuts. If I did that, I mean, it's still nuts, it's still great. So 85% accuracy is not too bad, was my point. That's what I was trying to get at. It's not bad, but it's still really nice to have the Drizzle to make it consistent. So Drizzle and Hurricane, Thunder and Hurricane don't miss, and you get stab or a large boost on all of your water type moves, of which you have plenty. Physically, you have Aqua Jet, Liquidation, Dive technically, but just run Liquidation. Dive is just different flavor, and also for pre-Hala, you can have Dive if you wanted to use your way worse physical attack for some reason. Can that not look? Thank you. You have physically Dive, Aqua Jet, Liquidation, Aqua Tail, which is 100 base power and 95% accurate with a 30% flinch rate, and then Waterfall, which is 30% flinch rate and water type close combat. So that's all great stuff. And the Rain, with Drizzle, you get that boost. Especially you have Bubble Shot, which is priority, Brine, Scald, Water Pulse, Weather Ball in the Rain is actually great because that becomes 90 base power with a 50% chance to drop special defense, so that's very good. Surf, just consistent strong move. Hydro Pump is 120 base power, 90% accurate with no added effect, I believe. Maybe I made 125. I forget. I've been changing it. I'm still on the fence about it. Okay, 120/90. That's a lot more reasonable. I remember what I did. I made it 120, and then I made these two used to be 110 base power. Put them at 105. That's what I did. I remember now. Take a sip of my water real quick. Okay. So Drizzle's great for water moves. Drizzle's great for Thunder and Hurricane. And Drizzle's great for activating ally abilities. All right, that is the main gist of it. It's just a good ability to have, for plain and simple. So that's that for Drizzle. It's not too much else to cover for it. It's very self-explanatory. Airly is also self-explanatory, but there's a lot of moves to talk about. So if you have heard other change guides for other Pokemon, such as Mega Pinsir and Aerodactyl and a couple others so far, and there's also ones that have written change guides for Airlate, you guys already know what it does. If you already know what it does, you can honestly just skip ahead a little bit. Although I would just listen. I probably won't dwell on it too long. So Airlate, level up, you have Whiplash, which is 85 base power, and that becomes I had this in my head and I forgot it, so I'll just do it real quick. 102. Whiplash is a 102 base power flying type move with air relate, and that always drops defense. Flail becomes 220 base power when maxed out. It's situational, but it's very good in those situations, and it's nice because you have Endure as a TM now, so you can just toggle on Endure and run Flail. Skull Bash is insane on a relate Dragonite. What Skull Bash is one of the best buffs to a move that hasn't just been renamed. You could argue this is like the top 10 buffs or moves, given how bad the move used to be. So what Skull Bash now does is it's 130 base power still. It doesn't miss, which is relevant for Hustle Bonds, but not relevant in this case. And you still get that +1 defense on the first turn, but you now also get a +1 attack and accuracy boost. So essentially, at the set after you use it, not before you use it, that would be overpowered as hell. It's not like Meteor Beam. You get it after you use it. So after you connect, you get the +1 defense on the first turn, and then the +1 attack and accuracy on the second turn after you click it, or after the attack goes off. And if you use Power Herb, you will get all three at once, and you'll get it instantly. So with Power Herb, you essentially have a 130 base power normal type move that consumes your item and gives you a coil boost. All right, that's what it is, and that's great. It is still relatively situational. You know, obviously some people would just prefer to have Whiplash or Retaliate or whatever reliable normal stab, and that's totally respectable, but Skull Bash is great still. Totally cool, totally awesome. And again, with Air Relate, that becomes, I believe, 154 base power? 154? Yeah, 156 rather. So that's even, yeah, 156 base power, flying type move with a Power Herb is great. All right, it's just amazing. So that's really cool to have. Other than that, they have Double Edge, which becomes 150 base power with Air Relate, and is it only deals 25% recoil now. And if you run Shell Bell, for example, you can run a Air Relate Dragonite set with Shell Bell and Dragon Hammer, Double Edge, and Play Rough, and or Wild Charge or Takedown. One of those three for your last 2 slots for coverage. And of course, this is just a situational. You can always just run, you know, priority or set up whatever else you need. But like I'm saying, if you want to run only recoil moves, those are all your recoil moves. So with Shell Bell completely, it's buffed now to heal 20% of the damage you deal. Therefore, let me refresh that so that the Dratini mini spray comes back. That was bothering me. If you are watching and not just listening, there we go. Either way, if you're running a recoil moves, basically Shell Bell now heals 20%, so the 110 base power recoil moves only have 20% recoil, so therefore you're healing it all off. You're healing all of the damage off with Shell Bell. Of course, you might want a boosting item, you might want a sash, you might want a Violite, whatever it is, but it's still nice to have that as an option. And with Double Edge and Air Relate, you only take 5% recoil with the Shell Bell. Without Shell Bell, you're taking 25%, which is still better than 1/3 like it used to be. And all recoil moves that are, all of the stronger recoil moves, there's 3 tiers. They go 110. I would show you guys in the move. I'll show you guys in the move guide. Why not? You guys probably know all this already, but for those of you who are new, you got Double Edge 125. All these are 125 and have an added effect for the most part, besides like one of them maybe. And then these are 110 base power, and they're all TMs besides Dragon Hammer. And then this Dive Bomb is actually great on Dragonite as well, especially with Skull Bash sets or Coil, which is only Dragonair learns Coil. So basically, something I'll talk about really quickly is that Dragonair gets Coil at 47, so that's great. Dragonite gets Bulk Up by TM, so you don't need Coil. You don't need to wait until 47 for Coil. And if you wait until 47 for Coil to then evolve into Dragonite at 47, 2 levels later, that's cool. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, Coil is great on Dragonite, but you already have Bulk Up. The only advantage of Coil is that it makes it so your dive bombs won't miss, which is, admittedly a pretty big advantage. It's pretty nice because if you miss them, you're kind of, you take half your HP. And then you also have some random setup or random coverage moves that won't miss. So Dragon Fury is not coverage, but that's it's not boosted by Coil, but it does boost your accuracy. Dragon Fury is 130 base power special dragon type move that always burns. The downside being it's 70% accuracy. So on Coil Dragonair with the Violite, you can really make use of Dragon Fury. Dragonite as well, but Coil Dragonair is probably better for that because of the fact that you are bulkier, and also special attack is almost as high as Dragonite. So it's just nice to be able to get that Coil off. And then, yeah, although Dragonite is great, you could totally run like a mixed Coil set if you wanted. Point is, it's nice to have that for Dragon Fury, nice to have that for Dive Bomb, Whirlpool for special. I mean, I'm only going to talk about physical moves besides Dragon Fury, but yes, there are also inaccurate special moves that can get buffed by Coil, but I mean, you'd rather just run Calm Mind at that point. That's another thing, is that they all have access to Calm Mind. Dragonite has Aerolate. Oh yeah, I'm back on top with Aerolate now. Cool. We circled back. Cool. Thank you. Jeez, why'd you do that? There we go. Back to where we were. Recoil moves are great. All right, that's my point. Double Edge is 150 base power with Aerolate and has a 50% chance to drop defense. Meanwhile, Strength is a 120 base power move that becomes 144 base power with Aerolate. And what Strength is, it's normal type close combat. So the pros of Strength is that it's reteachable and it's there's no recoil. The cons of it is that it lowers your defenses. It's it's close combat and it's slightly weaker. And it doesn't have that 50% chance to drop defense. So pick and choose. Pick and choose. Situational, of course. But it's nice to have. Also, Double Edge might be earlier than the Strength TM. Hold on, not exactly. It'll probably be about the same time you get the Strength TM, to be honest. Maybe even a bit later. So, setup-wise, you have... Well, actually, no, I'll talk about Aerolate stuff first. So, Aerolate, last level up Aerolate move is obviously Extreme Speed. 96 base power, +4 priority, or +3 rather. Outspeeds all the normal priority moves. The only priority moves that outspeed Extreme Speed that are attacking moves are... a couple of like the fake out itself, First Impression, and then a couple of the 1 PP one-time use moves like Wake Up Slap and Smelling Salts and Cosmic Chaos, which I have been thinking of doing something else with because it's kind of irking me, but I'll leave it for now. Because the only other thing I could do with it would be like what, make it hit twice, 75% HP at max, and that's like the Z move effect used to do. Not into it. Point back on topic. I was saying Aerolate. So yeah, Aerolate E-Speed is god tier. That's already like justification for losing multi-scale. I mean, I think that's more fun, first of all, and it's also a lot more balanced in the sense that it's still a very powerful option, but it's not unique in that Aerolate E-Speed. I mean, tons of mons get Aerolate E-Speed now. E-Speed is a much more common move now. Not totally common, but it's a lot more common than it used to be. So you have Swords Dance with Aerolate E-Speed as well. Which is another reason I gave them Sword. The only reason I gave them Swords Dance is because they lost multi-scale. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, they can have that to kind of compensate too. You of course have Bulk Up or Coil, and then you have Calm Mind for special sets, and Dragon Dance, of course, you have as one of the last TMs you get access. Actually, no, the last TM you get access to in Komo'o's Lair. So that's all the Aerolate moves by level up. By TM, you have much more things. These are things I've covered a lot. Retaliate becomes 114 base power. It's 95 base power. Normal type move becomes 114 with flying type, Aerolate, and it doubles to 228. It's excellent. Reteachable, powerful, consistent, great move. Whiplash is weaker on the first turn, but stronger on the second turn. So pick and choose. Retaliate's reteachable. Whiplash is not. Whiplash is more PP than Retaliate, so there's pros and cons to both. So it's up to you. Giga Impact and Hyper Beam are both immensely powerful with Aerolate, rather, not normalized. Hyper Voice is the same power as Retaliate, just special. Giga Impact, Hyper Beam. So what those are, if you guys are not familiar, if you're new here, I have made tons of moves function like Draco Meteor and Cycle Boost. So what the Hyper Beam, not Voice. And so what that means is that they will give you -2 special attack or attack, depending on what side they attack from. So that's awesome. I mean, it's powerful as hell. It's a lot more usable than recharging. Recharging is shit. Recharging is just bad, plain and simple. You can't even switch out on the recharge turn. If you could switch out, it'd be okay maybe, but nope, terrible. So you have all these moves. The ones that are relevant for Dragonite are Superpower by Tutor, Dragon Ascent, Draco Meteor, Hyper Beam and Giga Impact with Aerolate become 192 base power, and the second hit becomes 96 base power after the -2, so your second hit isn't even that weak, especially given how powerful the first move is, literally Z move level, stronger than a lot of Z moves actually. So Hyper Beam, Giga Impact, and Aerolate are immense, absolutely immense, and awesome options to have. And then at level 7 you get Draconic Beam, which is one of these 5 exclusive or semi-exclusive nuke moves. Even more so nuke. I mean, these are already nukes, but this is like a nuke. -4 special attack, 3 PP, 230 base power Z move as opposed to 210. The -4 stats is actually not that bad. I've covered this in other change guides, but -4 is only a 2/3 drop. So your second, like if you use Draconic Beam twice in a row, it's stronger than 2 Draco Meteors in a row. I'll actually prove it right now. 150 plus 75. That's the overall power of 2 Draco Meteors versus 2 Draconic Beams is 240 versus 225. So there's a 15 base power increase overall when you use 2 Draconic Beams in a row. The main downside I would argue is the fact that number 1, it's not reteachable. until you get to movie learner, which by the time you learn these moves, you'll be like right in front of the movie learner anyways, so that's not really that much of a factor. And the fact that they have much less PP, 2 less uses to 6 depending on if you use PP max or not, or sorry, 5. So that's awesome to have. Makes special sets even more viable as well. So you can run like Hyper Beam plus Draconic Beam, 192 base power flying, -2 move, and then 180 base power, -4 dragon move, you know, or Draco Meteor, obviously with Hyper Beam. Either way, it's great, all right? Powerful ass move, powerful ass Pokemon. Giga Impact is great, 120 attack, air late, powerful stuff. Strength is there as well, I covered that. It's normal type close combat. That's all your air late moves, all right? Hopefully I didn't dwell on that too long, I hope not. Coil with Dragonite, like I said, is useful for Dive Bomb. It's also useful for Stone Edge. Technically, I'm only gonna name the moves that are 90% accurate or lower. But the physical 90% accurate lower moves, which are just Power Whip and Stone Edge and Dive Bomb, and that's basically it. And Iron Tail as well. That the Dragonite learns, of course. Obviously, there's more than that. But there's also 5% chances to miss moves, and a lot of moves have that. Like not a lot, but more moves have that. So like Aqua Tail. I know there's more. Come on, I'm not crazy. Rock Slide. Yeah. Point is, Coil's good on those, but it's not anything crazy. You can just not evolve it, and you can evolve it right away and get the bulk up TM. And you have the bulk up TM at that point, or you should be close to getting a bulk up TM. So, yeah. Coil's good on Dragonair though, because Dragonair doesn't get bulk up, obviously, because he is not a chunky dragon. He's a snake thing. Although some snakes can be learned, just not Dragonair. Sorry, I am ranting a little bit too much. Recoil moves are great with Shelba, already covered that. Not too much else to cover, other than the fact they just get a shitload of coverage. I mean, you guys can see it right here. Like I said, Drizzle, okay, another cool thing that with their abilities, with Dragonite's abilities specifically, is that Drizzle tends to encourage special sets more than physical sets. Not to say that you can't run physical Drizzle. Physical Drizzle's great. You know, the smarter player will obviously just use the 2 abilities which are more advantageous for the situation, or the 2 of 1 which they just prefer using. But on paper, Drizzle is better for special sets because you have stronger special water type options and physical water type options, and then you have Weather Ball, and then you have Thunder and Hurricane, Stab, Hurricane, and coverage for Thunder and the Rain. So those are arguably better. And then on paper, physical Air Late is better because you have Extreme Speed and Skull Bash and all this other, and you know, Whiplash and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, special sets only have Hyper Voice and Hyper Beam, which are still extremely powerful. Mind you, they're powerful as hell, but it's just less options. So you could argue that it's kind of cool that one ability encourages physical, the other one encourages special. But of course, you can use physical Drizzle to a great extent, and you can use special Air Light to a great extent. Special Air Light also really appreciates the fact that it gets fire type coverage, because Drizzle sets don't want to run fire coverage because it's weakened. Obviously, if it's like you know, you're fighting like a Bug Steel or a 4 times weak Firemon, then you're still going to want to run the fire move, especially, you know, Bug Steel, their only weakness is fire, so you're still going to want to run Flamethrower on Drizzle maybe, but you would probably rather run like Regenerator or Air Late in that case. So that's another advantage. And your boosted flying type moves are resisted by like Steel and other types. Steel and Flying, right? Steel and Flying, which fire is super effective against. So fire coverage is very viable on Air Late sets, is my point here. And then of course you have coverage for literally everything. Dragonair already had amazing coverage. I didn't really give it that much more, but it has better. And Dragonair also has excellent coverage. You have pretty much every type in the game. I believe actually literally every type in the game, technically, yeah. A lot of that's honestly not, if that sounds crazy, you know, like if I just say that, that sounds insane, like, oh my god, every type in the game coverage, what the fuck. A lot of Pokemon get almost every type now, and technically everyone does with Natural Gift, but that's like kind of a cheap answer. But Natural Gift is 110 base power. You use a super effective weakening berry such as a Passional Berry or Aqua Berry, and you will become that move's type, and you get 110 base power. Downside being it's only 1-time use, obviously, but the advantage is that it's a TM, so you can just teach it whatever you want. But yeah, that's about it. Not too much else to cover. You know, you got all this great setup, all this great coverage. Not going to waste time listening to every single one. You guys can read. All right. Parting Shot Regenerator is great. I already said that. Lots of great utility stuff. Oh, another Air Late move. I forgot. A big one, actually. Last thing. All right, then we're done. Rage. Air Late Rage is extremely powerful. Air Late Rage is already 80 base power. So Rage is already a great move to have. It's weaker than Retaliate and Whiplash and all these other moves, but the advantage of Rage is that if you use it and you get hit that turn, you get a plus 1 attack that turn. So as long as you're as long as you keep clicking Rage every time you get, so for example, if you click Rage So if, let's say something's faster than your Dragonite and you click Rage, you won't get that Rage boost on the first turn, but the second turn, if you click Rage again, even though they're faster than you, you'll get the attack boost. So that's really awesome. And then of course, if you're faster and you click Rage, then they hit you after you click Rage, or the first time you're getting the boost no matter what. So that's great to have. +1 attack each time you get hit. Essentially, as long as you're using the move, it becomes 96 base power with Air Late. So that's just, I mean, that's powerful as hell. It's a great option. Whiplash and Retaliate are obviously stronger, and all these other moves, Double Edge, Extreme Speed, blah blah blah. But Rage still has its niche there. You have Roost for reliable healing and Aqua Ring as well. Excuse me. So that's awesome. Not too much else to cover. I don't want to waste too much more time. I think I've got about everything down. I mean, you guys can read all the coverage and stuff. They all make sense. This is already a longer video. I don't want to make it too much longer. Thanks for listening to my rambling. I hope you enjoyed this one. And we are basically done with Kanto, by the way. We only have Mew left, and Mew is going to be very quick. So, yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. And I will see you all soon.